Welcome to the Three Crosses Farrier Company. I'm Caleb, and we're going to be trimming Lakota today. In the previous video, we trimmed her front feet, and in this video, we'll be trimming her back feet. Lakota is 18 hands tall, weighs over 2,000 pounds, and she's a Clydesdale. I'm going to apologize in advance. I totally forgot to get a video of her in this time. I promise the next time I go out to trim her, we'll get a video of her. She has massive feet. A lot of farriers don't care for drafts. I kind of enjoy them. They're a challenge. I don't have that many on my books, but I really enjoy when I get to work on them. They're such gentle giants. Lakota has really, really long feathers or feather. I've been corrected for saying it both ways, so I call them feathers. It's the hair that hangs down over the hoof. I use saran wrap to keep them out of my way. I also use saran wrap when I'm gluing to keep it clean, if I'm using epoxies or anything like that. This was just at the start of spring, and you can see how wet and green it is. We're getting a lot of green grass. It's probably one of my favorite times of the year. You can see right off the bat that her bars have grown a lot. We don't have a lot of depth. I think people mistake depth for length. So length is what we take from the top when we gather it up and get rid of flare and distortion. Depth is how deep we cut with our nippers. So you can see right now the frog looks kind of gnarly. The bars are a little bit folded over. We're going to address all of that. It is fairly common for horses to slough or shed their frog about twice a year. Usually it happens in the spring and the fall, and it's directly related to moisture most times. So we're just going to clean up the frog, get rid of all the tags. What I mean by that is the loose pieces of frog. This allows us to see exactly where to trim and see some landmarks and know where to bring the heels to. You can see that the heels have grown forward, and we're going to address that and bring them back to where they should be. Where I'm working right now is called the commissure. We want to get that cleaned out so we don't have a bunch of dirt and rocks and bacteria get trapped under there and then cause issues down the road. So we want it to be able to clean out. Trimming drafts without a cradle, I wouldn't want to do it. I love my little hoof stand. It's made by Hoof USA. They're a great company. Love working with them. And I do think they make the best cradle on the market. It's the easiest to use. It doesn't jam up. I've had this one for a couple of years. It works really well. So what I'm doing right here is called defining the bars. I don't want to gut the bars. I don't want to take them completely out. I just want to define them and straighten them. That's the central sulcus right there where I'm working. Again, we kind of want to just clean it out so nothing gets trapped in there and creates a thrush or bacteria problem. I'm using my 15 nippers here. I usually run a 14 set of racetrack nippers. But for these big horses, you almost have to use the 15s. She gets a little impatient. I keep the stand as low as I can, so it's easier on her, but she's getting a little older and probably has a little arthritis, and so standing for long periods with her hoof up like this can be a little difficult for her. We're going to rasp the foot flat. I think there's a misconception as farriers. We're taught to be flat and level, but that doesn't always mean balanced. And balance comes with a lot of experience. You don't just learn to balance horse feet. So right now I'm addressing distortion and shaping the foot, getting rid of the wider portions of the hoof wall and narrowing up so that it's even all the way around, getting it back to its natural state. So the white line mirrors, it has the same shape as the coronary band, and the coronary band has a similar shape, or the close facsimile to the coffin bone. So we're trying to replicate that because that's where this horse wants to be. You can see that she has a really what we would call classic hind shape. That's one thing about draft hooves. They are actually really nice once you get them all gathered up. Biggest issues that we have with draft feet is flare. Earlier, I mentioned depth as compared to length. Depth is the amount I trimmed off the bottom, and what I'm dealing with here is length. On a draft horse, they have a lot more flare than they do depth. So sometimes we don't take a lot off the bottom, but we will take a ton of hoof wall off on the outside. To answer the questions I already know I'm going to get, this isn't weakening the hoof wall because remember we made the mark on the bottom. So the hoof wall is the same thickness all the way around. And in theory, it's the same thickness all the way up, almost to the coronary band. As long as we don't rasp too much at the bottom, it should be the same thickness all the way around. So we're straightening the tubular horn, and it'll grow straighter from now on. If you leave it flared, it becomes weaker and weaker till it breaks off, and then eventually that can lead to a lot of other problems. I've seen him break off hoof, and it actually breaks off high enough and deep enough that it makes him bleed. And that should do it for that foot. So now we're going to work on the other foot. You can see right now the hoof wall on the lateral side here that's peeled up. That's kind of what I'm talking about. So it's naturally already trying to get rid of some of the hoof wall that's too flared and get it back self-correct. I have to apologize, and I have been kind of sporadic with my videos lately. I'm working towards certification through the AFA, the American Farrier Association. It's been a really fun process. I've learned a ton, met some absolutely amazing individuals, and through the process, I have started competing in some forging competitions. I just went to my first one a couple weeks ago. So I've been spending a lot of time practicing, a lot of time working and studying. So I apologize that my videos are a little sporadic, but hopefully I'm getting better at my trade and doing a better job for the horses. Ultimately, that's what this is about. As much, I mean, it is important to have a good customer service for the client and things like that. But as a farrier, doing a good job is primarily for the horse. And that's the goal, is to continue our education and do better and better and be able to help the horse more effectively. I'm using Salcedo knives, and I have to say they're like one of my favorite knives. I've been using them about 6 months now. They stay sharp longer. They feel really good, got a great handle. I'm just really impressed with them. They're a really good knife. Again, you'll see here, I'm not taking a ton of depth. In fact, if you look, I'm only taking maybe 1/4 of an inch. And I'm bringing the heels back. I'm trimming all the way back and trying to bring those heels as close as I can to the widest point of the frog. You can also see that where that chunk that had kind of peeled up. You can see that flat spot. And we're going to kind of shape the foot to be about that width all the way around, because that's naturally where she wants to be. I have to mute some of the conversations that I have with clients. We talk about a myriad of things, from politics to religion. Farriers are kind of like hairdressers. We hear it all, from why the husband pissed her off that morning leaving for work to, what their political ideologies are. And I find it interesting. I'm really not, I'm pretty hard to offend, and I'll listen to your opinion, and it doesn't bother me. I know some guys that find it a little harder, but I don't get too bothered with it. I like to talk to people and hear their side of things and hear their stories. So now we're going to go from the top, address all that distortion, the mark that we had from the bottom. I can't stress this enough. We're not weakening the hoof wall. We're literally making it the same width all the way around. This actually makes the hoof stronger because we've straightened it. You can hear me breathing there. Rasping is probably the hardest part of my job. And you'll see we'll rasp right to where that piece had peeled up, and we're going to rasp basically till it's just barely disappearing. She's getting a little tired here. I'm using a Heller XL is what I'm using here for a rasp. It's probably my favorite rasp. They stay sharp a lot longer than most, and they have a really nice finish. Trimming draft horses is like doing 4 other horses. Their feet are so big, it's like doing 4 trims on a normal size horse. So it's definitely a workout. And that should just about do it for today. I hope you all enjoyed the video.